Nothing? All right. I appreciate you doing this. It's a very, very, very nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
I hope we had a good tour of the building.
Great tour.
You got to see all the things you wanted to see.
Yes.
So how does it feel now being part of all of this? You saw the $10,000 bill, the $5,000 bill.
Yes.
Seen some extraordinary video games, the trophy pieces. Now you are a part of that world. How does that feel?
It feels okay, but see, the other things seem way bigger to me
What do you mean?
than my things here, because it's me. I did it. I done it. You know, it's not a. I mean, it's an accomplishment, but I don't sit there and gawk at myself. You know what I'm saying? I don't break my arm, pat myself on the back.
Right.
So I'm a little more humble than I guess most people. But the currency and the Nintendo, I'm telling you, that Nintendo might be mine. Yeah.
But I'm fascinated because I think everything I've ever known about you is that when I found out that we had your collection and that you were going to be here, I can't say I was all that surprised in as much as that I do not believe, based on everything I know about you, that you are a sentimental person whatsoever, that you appreciate the accomplishment and enjoy the memory, but don't necessarily need the thing to remind you of that.
That's 100%. I mean, that's the whole reason that, you know, we are here is, you know, I accomplished those things. You know, I had those things. I still have some of those things. Not, well, it's kind of my choice, but I had a few people that helped me to or told me I had to keep a few things. And, you know, having these things is not going to take away the accomplishment of what I did. And I'm not a truly sentimental person about things like that. People, you know, things that you can't replace, you know, yeah.
So when it came time to part with your personal collection, because it's one thing, right? You collect the wine, you enjoy the wine, you appreciate it. But it's another thing to decide how to part with your personal pieces that were the result of and told the story of your life and your accomplishments. So how do you guys work together to figure out, all right, you know, the jersey and the helmet from the Immaculate Interception are in fact going to be something that I'm going to share with somebody else? Because that is an extraordinary, if you're a Steeler fan, if you're a football fan, that is one of the most extraordinary pieces you can own. So I sort of wonder, is that, as an outsider, I'm like, holy crap, I'd love to have that, even as a Cowboys fan.
That's all right. Everybody got their faults.
I know.
It's okay.
But for you, is that an easy decision or a difficult one?
A lot of the things I kept were things that they decided or my manager decided were something that they wanted to actually keep. There's a few other things that I kept that were sentimental to me because it was stuff that I had done or like accomplished after my father had passed. So there was some things, you know, like a ball, whatever it may be, that I wanted to keep then.
Right.
You know, other than that, and even then, at that time, you know, I was just like, you know what, I just want to get rid of everything. And just going through the process of trying to decide what was what. It was like, can't get rid of this.
So when you're going through this, and it is an extraordinary collection, because it's your stuff, it's a few people you played with, a few people you knew, it goes back to Kent State, it certainly, you know, it tells your life story. When you're going through it, do you reflect on the accomplishments while you're packing it up and Derek and Tony come to get it? Or are you, because you're not a sentimentalist, are you also not a nostalgist? Do you not look back on those stories? You lived them. Hey, I don't need to, I'm not packing this up.
Yeah.
And my whole life isn't flashing.
Right, it's not. It can't go before my eyes. It's mine.
Right.
You know, like you said, I could go back and look at a game with me in that jersey of, you know, 10 tackles, 3.5 sacks, you know, a couple picks, you know, all that other stuff.
Right.
And just because the jersey isn't there, it doesn't take away the accomplishment. And
Right.
to be 100% honest with you, a lot of this stuff, if not all of it, was just sitting in a bin.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you think when you first saw it and you saw, holy crap, this guy really is not a nostalgist or sentimental about his accomplishments?
You know how excited Tony gets.
Mm-hmm.
So we're both diehard football fans, and we were just, he's like, you want the Super Bowl jersey? And I looked at him like that, and I was like, are you kidding me? Yes. We want everything you have. That we couldn't believe it. Like, I'm holding the jersey from this play that I'll never forget where I was at. Thinking, watching him chug along after he picks, you know, you're not scoring. There's he might score. Then they're going to overturn it in the replay booth. And that turns out to be one of the most significant plays, that could change an outcome of a game in the biggest game ever played in the Super Bowl. And when I'm looking at that stuff, I'm a football collector, so I see his Kent State helmet and different stuff, and I'm just geeking out that he saved all this stuff. And then we went into his office and we're going through some stuff, and he's like, you can take some game balls. Well, not that one, maybe not that one, but I was anything, saw those rings are beautiful.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday.
You got to talk to the boys on
Talk to the boys on that one. But I thoroughly loved going through a future Hall of Famers collection and how impactful he was. And I'm a Cowboys fan.
That's all right.
We all have our faults.
But I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, so I have a ton of Steeler family and friends. And watching him hit and play, I would watch Steeler games just to watch that defense and watch them just level people. And how many times were you fined for hitting people, and where they changed, the game around that?
Your story, and obviously we could break down individual games and individual moments and achievements and accomplishments, but it seems to me that anyone who winds up owning your stuff will do so for several reasons. A, they're a big fan, they're a Steelers fan, they're a fan of yours, they're a Patriots fan for the time you played for them, Cincinnati, Kent State for that matter. But I'm also wonder if you hope that those who wind up with any of this stuff appreciate the story, not just behind that moment or that game or that final score, but behind what went into you getting to those places to make those plays and to be part of those moments in sports history.
Of course, I would love to know the history of me and be that be part of the reason why they want to have a piece of this merchandise and these these.
Yeah, because it is, it's funny. I would not want to own something unless I knew the sweat and blood that had gone.
What's so crazy? You know a lot about me, and I didn't think you would know that much. Because it's like you were saying, it's rare to have people who actually do their research. I'm very impressed.
Oh, thank you.
You're saying he's a good journalist?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I think, and I always believe it's important to respect the time of those who you spend time with. Yeah. So I appreciate you saying
Definitely.
that. It's very nice of you. But it's, as I sit here and think about all this stuff, and again, it was a place, you hold a significant place in sports history. You became a big part of popular culture. I'll never forget Kenan Thompson playing you on Saturday Night Live after the Immaculate Interception. I sort of wonder, is that kind of a weird highlight for you to remember about the fact that this guy is putting on the oxygen mask and?
Yeah, that was a funny, highlight.
It's respectful.
Yes, very.
So talk to me about that. Look, I don't know if I were part of such a significant moment in history that I would let my helmet or my jersey, I'd hold on to one of those things. I'm amazed that you are not.
I am.
Oh, yeah?
I'm holding on to the Defensive Player of the Year trophy.
Yeah, Player of the Year trophy.
Holding on to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
ring.
So the helmet and the jersey, they are tangential to that? They didn't make the play, I guess, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, I made the play. You're holding a piece of what I was wearing in that history.
Right.
You can't have me. You can't have those 10 other guys on that field. And when you look at that play, that's not just me. That's the defense. So we were just getting there like a step too late all night. It seemed like we get there, and just as he was throwing the ball, we hit him. Right after he threw the ball, we hit him. And he was just reading the defense, getting the ball off. And we had 17 seconds left. And I remember thinking, we're in the max blitz. I need to step so that this tackle will step to me so Timmons can get through free on the inside. And he couldn't hold the ball, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop and I'm going to play for the quick slant in. They don't have any timeouts left. They got to go for the end zone. And that was the closest thing that I could affect. It was either a slant, a corner, something like that into the end zone. And dude, I dropped. I can see it right now. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at Kurt. And I'm thinking
And Kurt's looking at you.
And I'm thinking he's looking at me. And then he throws the ball. And that's why I catch the ball like this, because I'm so surprised that he actually threw the ball. So as soon as I catch the ball, in my head, I'm like, I'm gone. They're not about to catch me. So it seems like I'm fighting with Deshae for like 20 seconds. I'm like, dude, get the hell away from me. Go block somebody. I look up. No, it's not about to happen. So we end up just keep running. Guys go to throwing blocks because that's what we did in practice. You got some guys that threw multiple blocks. And we bust through Kurt and whoever.
Are you worried about getting out of about
No,
accidentally stepping
I'm
out of
not thinking
bounds?
about that now.
No.
And because right then and there, I'm thinking I'm not going to make it through this. They go tackle me. And
Right. And if
somehow,
they do, times run out, and that's
whatever,
Yeah.
they didn't score. So somehow I make it through that. And when I make it through that, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm about to make it. And then I see a lineman on the side of me. I'm like, yo, I'm not going to make it. Where's these dudes coming from, right? Get past him. I believe it is Kiesel that comes back and cracks on him. And then the running back is coming, and I think Woodley blocks him, and that's where I jump over Woodley. And now I'm like, dude, it got to be like 45 seconds. Then ran out. The clock is dead. I'm like, I got to make it. I got no other choice now.
Right.
And as I'm running, it's like another lineman there. Like they got the Carl Lewis lineman on this team, right? And I'm running, and I just start like kicking my feet as high as I can when he dives, so that he doesn't trip me up. Right. So when he missed, I'm like, I'm in scot-free. But I'm actually looking this way to see if somebody else is coming, and that's when Fitzgerald comes in from out of bounds, and he hits my chest. All he had to do was hit the ball.
Right.
It would have fell out. But when he hit my chest, it gave me time to recognize he was there. I covered the ball. He went to try and rip the ball then, but I'd already covered it. Right. And he slides down, I fall down on top of his legs, and we roll into the end zone after Preston hits me in the back. So,
Derek, I want to ask you something as we sit here listening to all this. What a responsibility, and everything you do, you have a responsibility to a consignor, whether it's somebody with a card or somebody with an extraordinary collection like James's. When you guys meet, you talk about the responsibility to him to present it, to give it to get it to the right people, and you get to know him as well. You know his story, you know all of this. So, what is that like for you, and in terms of how you guys have gotten to be together and to know each other?
I mean, I think he's one of the realest people I've ever met. He lived a dream that I wanted to do as a kid, and
hit people.
What's that?
Hit people really hard.
You know what? I just love the game of football.
Yeah.
And part of that is the hitting. And I wasn't a big guy. I think I made it to ninth grade, and then it was about girls and forget about high school football. I would have got the charity start on the senior kickoff team, where they would have thrown me in for homecoming or something. Hey, you can play on the kickoff. One play.
Right.
Get one play and put you out here so you don't mess up or something. But no, I admire the effort of what it's taken. And it's even more special because of how we started. And he even told me that story last night at dinner. So I kind of see myself a little bit. I mean, I didn't get to do it in football. I did it in baseball cards. And I love the story. And I love, and again, I love linebackers. So I'm sitting there hoping he can be a Cowboy someday. But I knew he wasn't going anywhere because Pittsburgh's a great franchise. That's just great with the Rooney family and stuff. And Dick LeBeau, I mean, I knew he was a great coach. Now I officially know he was a great coach, hearing what he had to say about him.
Beat out DeMarcus Ware for the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, we was at the one-on-one wars together. Yeah, D were a good dude.
So many people, if you didn't watch the Steelers, you heard of James Harrison because of the hits, because of the fines, video games. Were you on the cover or something?
No, wouldn't let him do that.
But the commercial, he's known for hitting, and it's like, it was really an honor, and I really enjoy the, can I say friendship?
I got to tell you, when I found out that your collection was going to be in this upcoming auction, and then I knew we'd probably sit down and do one of these, I was very excited.
Cool.
I mean, I have never seen someone play with more grace, speed, agility, and fury than you.
Thank you.
I mean, it is.
Like that.
It was a pleasure to watch you play, No one can manage to make it look so brutal and beautiful at the same time. And I sort of wonder when you go back and look at some of your stuff, and I don't know if you probably don't do it very often. Why would you? I'm sure somebody did.
I do it a little bit because
Yeah.
of my oldest, and he's like, I wish I knew who you were then, when I was younger, and the stuff that I was experiencing and getting to see, because it means a lot more to him now because he understands it than he did when he was, younger. And he was like, people see me as a big deal, and he was like, I just didn't see it that way. And he was like, now, he's like, I see it. He's like, I get to go back and look and admire, the film and what you did. And he was like, I'm actually playing it now. So to actually see what you did and me be playing the game now and see how easily you made it look, like it's something that's special to me now. He was like, and I wish I could have understood that or been old enough to understand it, or had me play longer, is what he said, so he could, have a greater appreciation for it. If you ask a guy that never won a championship if he would give up $50 million to have a championship, he'd tell you no real quick because he never won one. He don't know what it feels like. But you ask a guy that only has one, if he would give up that for $50 million, he'd tell you no, if that's his real goal.
That's extraordinarily well put.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this up, is there anything that we're sitting around here that we're looking at that we haven't talked about that you'd like to talk about, that you want to make sure people know the story of?
The Super Bowl ball.
Yeah.
Talk about this. It's not even about me. It's about Tom Brady.
Yeah.
About how he actually thinks. So we're sitting there, and we just realized that we're about to play Philly, and we have our meeting this the week before you leave and all that. You start talking about the team and all that. And my locker is next to right where the team meeting is. He comes out, dude, and he taps me on my shoulder. He said, "Get ready, we're about to score a lot of points." The study game is ridiculous. I've never seen anybody that went to the extremes of studying for a game than Tom Brady. But that's what that ball reminds me of.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Can't tell you what an honor and pleasure this has been. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.